Hello, welcome back to HITC Sport. Right, let's take a look at every Premier League club and find one former player they will re-sign before the end of their career. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Aaron Ramsey. Okay, yes, I realise Aaron Ramsey is following in the footsteps of both Liam Brady and Patrick Vieira, Arsenal legends who wound up at Juventus. But lads, don't get it wrong, the man is coming back. Because does anyone really think a fella from the south coast of Wales called Aaron Ramsey is really going to spend the rest of his career in Serie A? I'd be surprised if he even knew 7 words of Italian. Arsenal is his home. He spent 11 years at the club, was in floods of tears when he left in 2019. You just know once his £400,000 a week deal runs out in 2023, then a 32-year-old weary Ramsey will be back at the Emirates. I guarantee it. If this man is not stuck in the heart of Arsenal's midfield in 3 years, then honestly I will gladly swallow a hamburger made of Lego. Actually, probably better scratch that one. That would probably end in certain death. Aston Villa, ENDA Stevens. Yeah, most Aston Villa fans have probably forgotten ENDA Stevens was ever at Villa Park. He only ever played 7 league games for them, one of which was a 5-0 thumping at the Etihad. Pretty sure that's when Paul Lambert decided Stevens was as defensively sound as a burnt potato waffle. But he's since proven himself, turning himself into a semi-decent Premier League left back at Sheffield United. When the Blades inevitably get relegated in May, and with Neil Taylor chucked down the unemployment queue, then I have a feeling Villa will want a cheap backup option to Matt Target. So why not old boy Stevens? Brighton, Aaron MOOY. Okay, yes, I'm sure Aaron MOOY is having fun stuffing his face in cash out of the back of China, but does anyone really think a bald man from Sydney is going to spend the rest of his life learning Mandarin and eating dinner with chopsticks? Yes, he's from Australia, but lads, the man has spent 10 years of his life living in Britain. He has an English family. Yeah, he'll be back in a couple of years, and I have a feeling he'll be back to the championship with Brighton to replace what will then be a 35-year-old Adam Lallana, who by then will have about as much knee cartilage as a box of Weedos. Burnley, Kieran Trippier. Yeah, right now it seems a million miles away that an England international right back looking to win La Liga would ever contemplate a move back to Turf Moor. But lads, Kieran Trippier has already said Burnley are the only English team he'd leave Spanish football for. To be fair, that club must have made some impression on him, but not even his boyhood club. This guy spent 13 years in the books of Man City, don't forget, and his 4 years at Burnley saw promotion, yes, but also a heartbreaking relegation. Still though, he must have loved it because he keeps banging on about his intention to retire at that club. Christ, well, for a player of his top class quality, it's a bit like Brad Pitt wanting to marry someone who looks like Barney Gumble. Chelsea, Romelu Lukaku. Yeah, this is a bit from left field, but I have a feeling Romelu Lukaku will be back in England with Chelsea. For a club utterly drowned by that centre-forward curse, Lukaku was the one who got away. A goal-scoring machine while out on loan at both West Brom and Everton, this guy was twice the player Tammy Abraham will ever be. Give it 18 months, by which stage Chelsea fans will probably be ready to drown Timo Werner in a kitchen sink, and with just 2 years left on Lukaku's Inter deal, then yeah, I can see a cut price £40 million return. Crystal Palace, Dwight GAYLE. Here's another club who've always had a striker's curse in the club ever since the days of Andy Johnson. So it seemed weird they allowed Dwight GAYLE to waltz into the championship with Newcastle back in 2016, after the guy had finished top scorer for the club 3 seasons in a row. GAYLE's 5-year deal at Newcastle is finally about to expire in the summer, so why not? Why not a free transfer return to Sellers Park to sit on the bench? For some reason, this just makes sense. Everton, Ross Barkley. Okay, yes, Everton fans probably think I'm talking on my arse, right? Even suggesting Ross Barkley would ever pull on an Everton shirt again in his life. Oh, you must think I've just stuck a spoon up my nose. But lads, didn't Wayne Rooney also burn his bridges in 2005? This guy was practically making love to the Manchester United badge in the centre of Goodison Park. I'm pretty sure Evertonians felt like burning down his swamp, and yet still, 13 years later, he's back at the club and all is forgiven. So in 5 years' time, when Barkley is 32 and you probably have Rooney sitting in the dugout, I'm pretty sure this boyhood toffee is going to wind up back at the club as a squad player. And don't tell me that he won't. Fulham, Chris Smalling. Yeah, you probably all think Chris Smalling is done in England, right? Again, lads, I don't think a fella called Chris, born in Greenwich and with the same barber as Jar Jar Binks, I don't think he's really cut out for 10 years of his life in Serie A. It just doesn't really fit. He'll last about 2 more years at Roma at best. I'm guessing by 2024, when he's 35 years of age, he'll be a big name signing at Fulham, winding up back at the club who plucked him out of Maidstone in 2008. I mean, don't forget, he has unfinished business at this club. He only ever played 12 league games before his jumping ship to Old Trafford, when he used London's oldest football club as nothing more than a stepping stone to further his career. Leeds, James Milner. Yeah, James Milner is probably going to win the 4th Premier League medal of his career this season, but I reckon a huge chunk of his soul probably watches Marcelo Bielsa's free-flowing Leeds team on the telly and feels like getting sick in the sink, furious that he's not part of it. This guy bleeds white. He's had the perfect career, but do you really reckon he's content that out of his 805 games of professional football, only 54 of them were for his boyhood club Leeds? And let's not forget, he lost most of those games, getting relegated in 2004 before being forced to leave at 18 years old, before he was even able to grow hair on his face. This guy's contract is up in 2022, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see him jump ship this summer, returning to his boyhood club to challenge for Europe under a world-class coach. It just makes sense. Leicester, Danny Drinkwater. Yes, Leicester fans must feel like beating my head against the wall after this suggestion, right? It's like when your mother suggests you ask out your second cousin. But listen, like it or not, Danny Drinkwater is a Leicester legend, immortalised as part of that title-winning bunch in 2016. Yes, at 30, his career is halfway down the toilet, reduced to headbutting his own teammates and getting sent off for tackling children. Yeah, do that in the public park and you'll get 3 years in prison. Listen, give it 6 years, I can see Leicester offering this guy a short-term deal at 36 years of age, just allowing him to train train and sit on the bench, purely out of pity. But no, he won't play, good Christ. Liverpool, Rhian Brewster. Okay, Rhian Brewster is doing his career no favours right now. He can barely get a kick at Bramall Lane, but I'm sorry, that's what you get when you leave the champions of England to sign a 5-year deal at Sheffield United. Just a horrific career decision. But Liverpool do have that buyback clause, and listen, even if Brewster does get relegated this season without even getting a kick, then people at Anfield will still know about his potential. He was an underage star tipped as the next Michael Owen. I can see them re-signing him, if only to rescue his career out of a dumpster. Man City, Joe Hart. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Pep Guardiola would arguably rather jump in front of moving traffic before he'd ever contemplate offering Joe Hart a job. But lads, Pep isn't going to be at the Etihad forever. Give it 5 years and the man will be long gone from England. And Hart is a Manchester City legend. Christ above, one of their training pitches is named after this guy. Then yeah, in the year 2026, when he's 38 years old, he'll return as a third choice goalie, playing the Scott Carson role of sitting in the stands. Man United, Tom Heaton. Yeah, that is a bit underwhelming, right? Lads, there's going to be a goalkeeping upheaval at Old Trafford this summer. Sergio Romero and his wife are still disgusted they weren't allowed to leave for Everton, so he'll be gone. Dean Henderson will probably go back out on loan, not content with staying on the bench for another season. So that leaves 2 vacant goalkeeping positions to fill at the club. Similarly, Tom Heaton is an injury stain on Aston Villa's bench, and I can see him at the age of 34 returning to Old Trafford as third choice goalie, replacing Romero in the stands. You'll see. Newcastle, Ivan Toney. Okay, maybe this is wishful thinking, but Newcastle should re-sign Ivan Toney. The answer is staring them slap bang in the face. Yes, Callum Wilson is doing well, but he'll be 30 in 13 months. Toney is just 24, has already smashed home 16 goals in 22 games for Brentford this season. He's doing even better than Ollie Watkins did last year. For some reason, he was largely ignored by Steve McLaren at St James's Park, but Christ above, chuck in a £30 million bid and get him back. Sheffield United, Kyle Walker. Yeah, a bit like Trippier, Kyle Walker wants to retire not in the glitz and glamour of the Champions League, but as someone obscure like Sheffield United. To be fair, as a boyhood blade, he only ever stepped onto the pitch in that shirt 30 times in his life. His parents live in Sheffield. He said he wants to return to that club, so in 5 years' time, when he's a 35-year-old pensioner, look forward to seeing Walker trip over his feet in the Championship every week. Southampton, Luke Shaw. As this is Luke Shaw's 7th season at Old Trafford. That's pretty damn impressive. It's also mad to think he's only 25. Is it just me who feels like he's been around so long, he should be at least a 40-year-old man by now? Listen, this guy has a connection to Southampton. He joined their academy at the age of 8, spent 11 years on their books. I can see him returning in about 5 years when he's 30 and bombed out of Old Trafford. Tottenham, Jermaine Defoe. Okay, no, I don't think Jermaine Defoe is going to squeeze in a third spell at Tottenham before he retires. Good Christ, he turns 39 years of age this year. Not a chance. But I do think he'll be back at the club. Probably in a coaching capacity when he's done with Rangers. But no, other than that, I don't think they'll sign any former player. Most of them are absolutely cat piss. West Brom, Chris Wood. Yeah, you see Sam Vokes' career? A big target man currently being passed around the benches of the Championship clubs? Sadly, that is Chris Wood's future. Yes, he's done well for Burnley in the Premier League. Nearly 40 league goals. That's not to be sniffed at. But give it 4 years when he's a washed up lump at 33 years of age, then yeah, I can see West Brom taking him back to just chuck on their bench in the Championship. West Ham, James Tomkins. Yes, James Tomkins is a forgotten man at Crystal Palace this season, but lads, he is retiring at West Ham. I can smell it. He joined the club age 7 back in 1997 and spent nearly 20 years at the club before joining Crystal Palace for 10 million quid in 2016. But give it 4 years when he's on the verge of retirement, I can see a 3-month short-term deal bringing him in as an emergency signing to sit on the bench after someone's picked up an injury. Wolves, Matt Doherty. Lads, you can almost smell Matt Doherty being branded a Premier League flop at the end of this season. After 10 years of cosy little Wolves, it looks like the move to Jose Mourinho's demanding expectations at Tottenham might be a bit beyond a fella who's only playing League One football at the age of 22. Lads, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a transfer merry-go-round this summer, with Nelson Semedo earning himself a move back to another European giant like Juventus, redeeming himself after that Barcelona howler, with Mourinho bidding Doherty back to Wolves. I'm telling you lads, it's gonna happen.